Danny Flexon here for Seconds Out. Delighted as always to be joined by Lou DiBella for DiBella's Digest. And Lou, how has your week been?
Stressful. I'm sitting here and I just showed you a second ago. I got my TV set in the background in my office, watching votes be counted, waiting for boards to be updated. But it looks like, at least with respect to the presidency, it looks like things are heading in the right direction, I hope. And I watched the boxing over the weekend. I don't think there were a lot of surprises. I think I pretty accurately nailed what was going to happen in our previous conversation. I actually won the round proposition in the Davis fight because I bet 5, 6, 7 as the 3 rounds for the knockout. And like I said, I anticipated that Santa Cruz would make a really good account of himself. He's a really good fighter. He's just a great featherweight. And, but I expected him to put on a good show for as long as it lasted. But the result was the only result I think that was possible. I think Leo was going to get, unless he was running around in circles, and he's not that kind of fighter, he's a warrior, he was going to get stopped eventually by the bigger, stronger man.
Is it kind of beneficial to Gervonta in that people, if he'd have gone to points or even if he'd have stopped him via accumulation, people would have said, well, he's a much smaller guy, you did what you were expected to do. Because he scored a spectacular knockout, the KO of the year, as people calling it.
A spectacular, of course. A KO of the year, a spectacular knockout. Look, particularly in this day and age where you're seeing a lot more fights on pay-per-view, not that many people are watching the live pay-per-view. It's just not that many. However, millions and millions of people are going to watch the knockout of the year that goes viral. Hell, if you show a knockout between 2 homeless people in a street fight and it's a sensational knockout, it goes viral. So I think that sensational knockout was exactly what Davis needed to do. I think he made a statement. I think he got people's attention, and good for him. I mean, he delivered. He did what he's supposed to do.
And another person who delivered was someone you work with, George Kambosos Jr., who is now the IBF #1 mandatory contender for Teofimo Lopez, having defeated Lee Selby. I think you obviously knew how good he was, but I think a lot of people, particularly in the UK, maybe didn't until watching that fight with Selby, where he really distinguished himself.
Yeah, he's a good fighter. I mean, he's a very, very, very solid guy. He's a good-looking kid. He's got a lot of pizzazz. He's got a lot of self-confidence. He has a little swagger. I'm really happy he was able to get that platform in front of the UK boxing fans because you guys are such great fans. You do follow the sport intently. You're knowledgeable fans. And I think a kid like that who talks a lot of smack, not in a sort of an asshole sort of way, but talks a lot of smack in a self-confident way, but then goes in the ring and does what he says he's going to do. I know that British boxing fans respond favorably to that kind of kid. And I think he did his job. I was really proud of him. I think it means more beating Lee Selby in England. By the way, he didn't beat a washed up, horrible Lee Selby. I thought, Lee boxed, Lee makes it difficult, man. Lee's a good boxer. And Lee didn't, that wasn't an easy fight. And I don't think he was seeing a washed up Lee Selby. I think he beat a fairly high quality Lee Selby over the weekend.
Now, another lightweight who's very self-confident but backs it up is, of course, Teofimo Lopez. And I spoke to George Kambosos Jr. last night, just before he flew back to Australia, where quarantine awaits, apparently. Sympathies are with him. But he's desperate for that Lopez fight. He doesn't want to win a vacant title if Lopez moves up. He wants Lopez to stay at 135 and to take care of his mandatory. Are you on board with that too?
I'm on board with a kid that thinks that way. I think that's what you want to see a fighter, put out there. Teofimo's the best right now. He's the best 35-pounder in the world right now, and one of the top 10 pound-for-pound fighters in the world right now. And I think what George Kambosos was raised as a fighter to believe is that you want to fight the best. You want the opportunity to prove yourself against the best. And I think that's why he wants that Teofimo Lopez fight. He knows it's a massive fight anytime you have an opportunity to fight a superstar like that. But it's also testing yourself against the very best at your weight. And I think that he relishes that kind of challenge. Come on, it's very early for George to get in there with a guy like Teofimo. Even though Teofimo's a kid himself, they're both young kids. But you know what? Like, George believes he can compete with anybody, including Teofimo. Let's give him the opportunity. And it's certainly fresh blood. Two guys that are both hungry and still have a lot to prove. I mean, yeah, Lopez beat Lomachenko, but he's still a young kid. And I'd rather see undefeated, new blood, new talent emerging and taking the best fights than watching, various young guys talk about the biggest fights and getting in the ring with much less than that.
On that note, with no connection at all, Devin Haney is fighting Yuriorkis Gamboa this weekend. What can he do to not draw criticism or kind of, weary sighs? If he gets him out of there in the first couple of rounds, is that the only way really at this point?
No, look, Gamboa, I don't think Gamboa can win. In fact, I know Gamboa can't win. But Gamboa's not a bad fighter. I mean, Gamboa's had a good career. Gamboa's a pro's pro. If he's healthy, Gamboa's not going to be so easy to get out of there, in a round or two. I think he needs to dominate. I do think if he wants to be talking Davis and earning a shot at a guy like Davis building to a big fight, screaming that he's the best in the division, he needs to make a statement like Davis made a statement. Gamboa is bigger than Leo, but not better. And Gamboa is long on the tooth. He's definitely an older fighter that's had been breaking down physically. Haney's got to go in there and he's got to dominate. All you can ask a fighter to do is what he's supposed to do against the guy on the other side of the ring. And with Gamboa on the other side of the ring, he's supposed to be dominant.
You expected Oleksandr Usyk to beat Dereck Chisora at the weekend, and he duly did, for most people, quite clearly. But did Chisora underline or suggest any limitations in Usyk's progress if he stays at heavyweight, going up against some of the better big men?
Yeah, I think he did. Well, look, it wasn't just Usyk not being a big heavyweight that made Chisora competitive in that fight. It was a tremendous performance and effort by Chisora. I mean, for a big man like Chisora, particularly one who's not a kid, to have thrown down with that ferocity and with that output of work early in the fight was extraordinary, I thought. I was incredibly impressed by Chisora in that fight in terms of giving 110% and going there to win. I scored the fight 7-5 for Usyk. It became clear, though, pretty much right after the 5th round that Usyk was taking over the fight. But if Usyk was getting bullied a bit by Chisora, it's going to happen against Tyson Fury or AJ. He's the best cruiserweight in the world, and absolutely a legitimate heavyweight contender. But it's going to. I don't think, based upon what I saw the other night, that I would make him a favorite against one of the 6'5", 265-pound monsters of the heavyweight division.
I guess it's like David Hay when he moved up, just without the huge power. I mean, Usyk's got power, but not in the David Hay league, perhaps.
And Hay was honestly sort of too small for the top of the division, and Hay had more power than Usyk. Maybe not as slick a boxer as Usyk, but certainly more power. Look, if the other guy in the ring doesn't hurt him or can't push him around, he's such a skilled boxer, he can compete with anybody. But I could see Tyson Fury boxing with him and then just being way, way too strong for him. Like, I can't really see Usyk competitive against Fury at all. And I would make Usyk an underdog pretty substantially against AJ.
Good to know. Well, I'm going to let you get back to the election coverage. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing at this stage, but
I'm not sure either. Good talking to you, Danny.
And you, and I look forward to next week when
hopefully I'm in a better mood next week.
Well, we might have a new president-elect next week, so fingers crossed.
Hopefully we'll have one tomorrow. I'm crossing my fingers. I'll talk to you soon.
Good stuff. Take care, Lou. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.